What's the worst name you've known to actually be given a child? My mum worked in a NICU. Someone named their daughter Chlamydia. Because it sounds pretty. The social worker taught them into changing it thankfully. There was also Jellianas pronounced Helianas. More money. Super royal. Love goddess. Pajama. Garian and Garion. Shania Shanija. Rowdy Sir. Heaven sent mobilisms. Went to high school with a girl named Princess. She was really sweet, more Disney princess vibe than a tight asshole. Friend of a friend. Marijuana whiskey. Mum thought it sounded pretty ironic. Whenever I meet a guy called Russell, I think it sounds like a dog name. I'm sorry, knew a kid named Forrest. He was annoying. I worked with 3 brothers from Vietnam. The eldest was named Viet. The middle was named Nom, and the youngest was named Stephen. It was my headcanon at the time that their parents had this plan to move to Canada and have 2 kids and name them in honor of their homeland. And then just had a whoopsie doodle. It was pronounced Lacondrikia. How she got that from the spelling is anyone's guess. She was quite rude about me mispronouncing that when the ending definitely did not lend itself to that pronunciation. I haven't forgotten it some 30 years later because of that. Her name wasn't the only unpleasant thing about her. Went to school with a girl named Shunya. She once said something really horrible to me, so I told me mom, who said, "Who told you this?" "What? You're gonna get shit taught by someone named shit on you. Tell her to get bent." Next time she mouthed off, I let the one fly. She never recovered. I did security clearance background checks in the army and ran across a soldier whose name was Captain Richard Gaylord. He went by Dick or Cap, but preferred Dick. I'm editing to make it clear that his parents named him Captain Richard. He was SGT in the army. The absolute worst to names of people I have actually met. A man I knew had the last name Pig. He named his daughter Susan, or as the kids at school called her, Supig. There is also a family of Davidsons where I live. One of them named his son Holly. Some of the funniest ones I've personally come across IRL. Theodore Teddy Bear. Just in time. He also has sister called Rosemary. Crystal clear. She married into the name but still funny. Brian. He has a son, who he also called Brian. I read about a child whose mother named her Treblinka. When asked why, the mother said because it's so pretty she didn't care about the history of that name at all. For those NITK, it's the name of one of the Nazi death camps during World War II. Saint name nickname, but at what point did people start naming their kids Dick? And why? I know it's a pretty common name, and I can't imagine people in my mother tongue having the same name as penis lol. TS, no offense to dicks out there. My name is Sarek Esaek. It's supposed to mean lordly kingly, but my parents purposefully misspelled it to make the already uncommon name more unique. So now, after years of being called Cedric, Eric, Serk, and even Sarah, I just go by Rick. There's a Colombian footballer soccer player called F. Monjason Jason Gonzalez playing in the South African League. His name are the first letters of the calendar months in Spanish. In English he wolf have been named Monjason. Knew a guy named Clevis in high school. Had a student named Princess in high school. Her mom was a toothless drug addict. I work with someone named Zam pronounced Ornday. And no one at work can remember nor pronounce it. When I was a teenager, I worked with a guy named Jack Off. As a teacher, I had students in the same class named Rusty Buzzoff and Carmen Butts. I also had a student whose 15-year-old sister had a baby girl and named her Pebbles Champagne. Chartreuse. Not the most tasty of liqueurs to begin with in my opinion, but the family also didn't speak French, so butchered the pronunciation. It's weird hearing a parent mispronounce their own kid's name. Like it's not theirs. I met a couple who had a boy with 3 first names. Then they had a second son. They'd used all their chosen boy names for their firstborn because they wanted a girl as their second kid. Second son's name became Brother. Lae pronounced Ladosha. This was a girl I was in class with in 10th grade who had a daughter named this. She had La tattooed on her forearm for her daughter. This is how I found out when I asked her what it meant. I know of two different couples who don't know each other at all, who both have named a child Sunshine in the past few years. First it was a daughter, and next it was a son. Sunshine ... Both also go by Sunny. One of my sister's step-kids' kid is named Valkyrie. The mum is profoundly stupid and named this son Valkyrie after an ammunition brand, not knowing or caring where the name originated. Everyone just calls him Val. Girl I know from college named her kid Motley because she likes the idea of castle moats and the protection they provide. She's now pregnant again. Can't wait to see what awful name the next kid is saddled with. A friend works as a secretary at a hospital birth center and she deals with birth certificates. She had one with the name SSSST. She asked how it was pronounced and was told Forest, since it's for S's and AT. Adolf Hitler. US parents cannot regain custody children Nazi-inspired story. ID 11,334,970. Heard about an airline being sued because the attendants were making fun of a child passenger's name, which is, I shit you not, Apes. Like of course your child is going to be bullied for a fuck-ass name like that. I was helping in the classroom and met a little fourth grader named Luxon. Her name isn't horrible, though a bit surprising, but she was so tired. She spelled it for me before I could even begin to write it down. It isn't a bad name, just unfortunate. A recently immigrated guy in Chinatown got arrested when a cop asked for his name and he, frustrated at the situation he was in, shouted it at the cop. Kaifukyo. This isn't the worst name. It's actually very common. But I went to high school with a girl named Casey Diaz. I didn't make the connection until my friend just chuckled and said, Quesadillas. Ha ha ha. 3 brothers named Lee, Jackson and Stuart. The recently retired from the Air Force African-American history teacher at the school was not happy with these 3. He made it their mission to learn. Have a friend who's a teacher, and she sees all kinds of nonsense. One of my favorites was a kid named Jackson, which I think is actually a decent name, except that he spelled it Jackson, W-H-Y. There was a teacher in my high school whose name was Gay. I don't mean the actual name, Gay. His name was literally spelled as Gay. I don't know about you, but that's a fucking unfortunate name. Lillemer. It's a Danish girl's name and the word consists of 2 others, Lille little and more mother. It's not only used as a name, but also for mothers in an old-fashioned, endearing way. Billie Eilish's middle name is Pirate Baird. Pirate Baird. Gwyneth Paltrow's kids are named Apple and Moses. That's gotta suck. But personally, I don't know anyone with a truly awful name. From people I don't know personally, whatever the FCK Elon named his kid. From people I know personally, named their daughter Ralph and picked Hazel as their son's name. I don't FKNG get it. Per Freakonomics, there was a family in which the dad named kid number 7 Winner. Kid number 8 was named Loser. Loser is a successful lawyer as of my last read. Pronounces it Lucia. Maybe not the worst sounding, but my friend in college was named Marika. It's a very bad slang curse for gay person in Spanish. My Colombian boyfriend at the time lost his shit laughing for the Frisbee people. The 5 ultimate siblings Zolan, Exten, Vero, Raw, and QXHNA. I actually like the names, but the lifelong spelling and pronunciation struggle is just cruel. There's a writer named Richard Blow, since the nickname for Richard is Dick. I don't know how his parents didn't see that as problematic. He later changed his name to Richard Bradley. Met a kid named Jaya. I asked if it meant something. Nope. One parent wanted a kid with initials. The other wanted a kid with a real name, so they compromised. Worst compromise ever. Bloke I used to work with called his kid Dragon so he could get a dragon tattoo. His wife was also called Bee, so naturally he got a hornet tat for her as they look cooler than bees. My dad's assistant named her daughter Slanina, which essentially means pig fat in Romanian. She even pronounced it the same way as the word is pronounced in Romanian slur enina. Bless Ariala and Godswill are the two I distinctly remember. Used to do data entry for fundraising order forms. There was a lot of weird ones, but I'll never forget those two. If I'm limiting this to people I know and could have a conversation with, it's D'Artagnan named after Three Musketeers. The poor kid's name has an apostrophe and a silent G. Chinese kid named Shai Ju. Same pronunciation as turd in Northern Chinese. Parents probably were from the south. Kid went to school in the north and became instantly famous. Not particularly shocking as foreign names go, but still always made me think, why? Went to school with a kid named Cedar. Last name Post. Imagine being named after lumber. My cousin named his son William Robert, so Billy Bob. I also knew of twins growing up named Major and Royal. Not the worst ever, I guess, but their last name is Payne. I was queuing for the toilets once in Covent Garden and the woman in front of me said Gulliver. I don't think you need another snack. I've never heard the name since. Knew a kid named Rage. He was about as well adjusted as you'd expect a child with that name to be. Also knew a child named Blade. He was also a bit of a troublemaker. I went to grade school in the 70s and had a male classmate with the name of Dork as his legal first name. True story. I found him on the web about 10 years ago. My cousin's last name begins with K. He named his daughter Kitty K. Envision her initials, also. Envision her as a grandmother with a name like Kitty.